We're bringing in Jerome Dodson right now. He is CEO of Parnassus Investments, managing the nearly $1 billion Parnassus Small Cap Fund, the Bloomberg Best Equity Fund for the first quarter. Jerry, thanks for joining us. Interesting that you think the small cap outperformance is going to continue, and not just for the next couple months, but really throughout the next year, the next 12 months. Why?
Normally, small caps do much better than large caps coming out of a recession. And of course, we're basically out of the recession, but we're growing very slowly, as we've seen by the statistics we've been hearing this week. And for that reason, I think small caps will probably continue to do well. And at some point, though, in the cycle, large cap stocks will definitely take the lead and start outperforming small cap. You don't know when that'll be. It's a guess, but my guess is that'll happen probably by the end of this year or maybe early next year.
Jerome, it's Sheila Dharmarajan here from the markets desk. Taking a look at the macro picture, there seems to be a bit of a sentiment shift these days that global growth may be slowing down. I mean, we're seeing countries around the world raise rates. We're certainly not seeing a lot of great signs come out of here in the U.S. I know you're heavily invested in telecom. How is this macro picture being taken into account whenever you're thinking about your portfolio?
In terms of the macro picture, you're right, the recovery is slow. However, those of you who have smartphones or cell phones know that a lot of calls are being dropped. There's a lot of dead spaces. What's happening is that the networks of the telecommunications carriers are more and more becoming extended. So our premise, our investment premise, is that they're going to have to invest a lot more money. So for that reason, we're heavily invested in telecommunications equipment. And that's why, even though the macro looks overall to be relatively weak, slow growth, we think that by the end of this year, telecom carriers will start investing a lot of money, and this naturally should be good for the equipment makers.
Jerry, earnings have actually come in pretty strong for a lot of these companies. We're kind of at the tail end of the earnings reports. Do you foresee that momentum is playing, and does that at all kind of play into your strategy here?
It does, but of course we try to look out for the next couple of years, and we do pay attention to the quarter-to-quarter earnings, but we look more at companies in terms of its unique characteristics. Does it have pricing power? Does it have a quality product? That's really more important to us than immediate earnings momentum of the market as a whole.
What do it's interesting. You see the housing continuing to be weak, and yet you see the jobs picture kind of picking up by the end of the year. Why is that? How do those two things jibe?
Well, it's a good question. I had expected the housing picture to pick up long before, sometime last year. And of course it hasn't. And what's really weighing on that is jobs. If people are not having a job, if they're not working, they're not going to be able to buy a house. And as we've seen, the jobs number has been pretty weak. We'll see tomorrow exactly what's happening. But we really need the about 400,000 jobs per month to grow to pull the housing market out of its slump. I expect that to happen, though, before the end of the year. And even though right now the growth is slow, at some point the economy is going to come back, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. And when that does, the housing stocks take off because they trade on anticipation. And so that's why we have a big position in Homebuilders, even though the housing market is still pretty cloudy.
Got to go to Jerry. Just save the last few minutes for you here, or last few seconds. So give us a name here, because that's what you do, and you've got a great track record this quarter. Give us a name that you think is interesting that investors should look at. I'm giving you 20 seconds here.
All right, we think ClickSoftware. And what that company does, it's a software program for companies that have a route, such as utility, telecommunications, and enables them to go around and efficiently decide where its trucks and people are. And also, for those of you that make an appointment to come and have your phone done or your gas turned on, it enables you to have a more exact time when the route man will be coming by. And so it has a superior quality product, so we think it's a good investment.
A nice run this year already, up about 20%. Jerry Dodson, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Coming up.